Hi, this is David Smith at the Art of David Smith. So, as you can clearly see from the picture I've got on my board here now, we're covering dragons. So, typically this is being referred to as what we know to be a European type dragon, as opposed to the Oriental type dragons, which tend to be more serpentine, and tend to cover those at a later date. So, this is obviously one what I've just drawn for my own pleasure. It's been one of those things what I've always been fascinated in is dragons and stuff. So I'm going to show you how to rough out and start putting together your own type of dragon picture. Now, often when you start these things, the poses that the dragons have are quite similar to that of, say, a cat or a dog sitting, with how the legs typically bend back. So what I'm going to do is, so basically what I'm trying to do is imagine a centre line. If there was like a piece of wire run all the way through the head of the dragon, down through the neck, through the chest, along to what will eventually be a tail. So obviously when you're drawing this, just feel free to experiment, play around. So we take this centre line, and this is going to obviously guide us then. So just blocking it in quite rudimentary shapes at first. If we have the head into this area, the neck obviously starts thinner at the top behind the base of the skull, as you can see on here, but then as it comes further down into the chest, it's obviously going to start broadening and looking a lot more obviously powerful. So at this kind of point we're doing the, I suppose, like the classic Loch Ness Monster type of look. So again, we rough those kind of shapes in. The body is going to occupy the majority of this area. So we're going to just kind of throw in a large oval into that area for the moment. And then as we drop down into the tail, I'm going to throw a sphere into there, a circle, which will eventually end up being part of the back leg. And then looking, so if we look something like this, again this will then be the shoulder of the front leg. So the other one is going to be tucked behind here, but when we're putting these pictures together, if you imagine a centre line running through the centre of the shoulder here, matching up through the other side, then we know if we need to see any of the shoulder through this other, through the back of the picture, should we get round to that point. So all will become a little bit clearer as I start putting a bit more of these lines into here. So it's not looking completely to the side, it's looking, I suppose we're going to have it looking down, so I'm going to go for quite a heavy brow. Certain meanness to that, certain, I suppose, regalness as well. Quite a proud creature if when you read about these things or you've seen them in movies. They're always portrayed as an intelligent creature, very proud, very powerful. So we want that to kind of come across in the picture also. So in regards to the neck, I'm going to bring that round. Now a few people have mentioned to me when they've seen me and they've been watching the videos, which is fantastic. Really appreciate the feedback, saying, oh, you make it look so easy. I only make it look so easy because of the sheer number of hours I have put into drawing. When I was a younger child, I was rarely found without a sketch pad and pencils. So it all comes down to how much or how little time you want to put into these things. And obviously the more you do, the more confident you'll be and the better you will get. So I have to concentrate on these legs. Now this back leg, we take the outer edge of that, and bring that into the back area. Now a lot of these lines I'm putting in way darker again than I would normally, so that you can see them on the video. If I was doing this normally, this would be a lot lighter, and I often draw in blue for that very reason. When you go to a photocopier or a scanner, the pale blues, your guidelines, don't get picked up as easily, so it's a lot easier to clean up an image with your pale lines. So forearms on these dragons are very, very similar to, I suppose, those of humans. Often when it gets to the back of the elbow, however, we'll kind of throw in a bit of detail with like a horn spike area. But the overall shoulder and arms typically follow the muscle groupings of humanoids. So if you need further guidance on putting these things together, get somebody to pose for you. In the chest area behind that, I'm going to tuck will be the lower diaphragm in behind this leg. I'm going to start putting this leg together, and again, as I mentioned before, very similar to, say, a cat or dog when it's sat, how the leg folds back. So the calf into there. Back to this other arm. And under here again, taking this line through the body, I'm going to pick up the other leg. Obviously we're not going to see a lot of that leg, A, because it's going to be in shadow, and B, it's tucked underneath the actual dragon itself, but we still need to be able to see the foot. When we get to the back of this leg, we're going to then take from the top of that into more like the tail area, and obviously I'm going to bring this in quite tight because of where I'm drawing it at the moment, but you could have this tail obviously feeding out the back or anything like that, really. Again, the secret is experiment, draw these. If you draw a really good head but you're not so happy with the body, try drawing the body again. You can always put the head underneath and take a tracing of the good body and then the good head and put those two items together. I do it all the time, drawing something and find I'm happy with one face and not the other, so I'll take that. And my job's easier with using the computers because you can scan those in and just drop one over the other. But with the use of a light box, again, I've transferred many heads and torsos from one figure onto another figure, what I've been happy with. to get the overall picture what you're happy with. So obviously another big detail what we need to include into this is at the back of the shoulders is what is the wing area. Now obviously you see dragons like this with 4 legs, you see them with 2 legs, which the 2 rear legs and the wings are like adapted arms. Those strictly are actually wyvern and not dragons when you look at folklore. So there's many different families and branches off of those families, just like with, say, the big cats or anything like that. And it's quite fascinating reading if you're into that mythical type of books and things. So you see it's starting to come together now. Another obviously the main areas we can't miss out on are the horns. Now obviously with perspective we've got the legs there again underneath. As we start coming round, perspective draws the eye down, so as we get to the top here we need to make sure that these horns reflect that. Nasal area. And sometimes even the European dragons will have, I suppose, like a bit of a goatee type beard. If you don't like that, obviously whip it out, it's not a problem. I think you can start to see now, I've got it to the point where I would then start detailing this. So on the chest, I tend to have these larger plates, and again they need to echo the shape of the dragon as you come down. The classic scales tend to run along the back with obviously the large protruding spikes which run down the spine, I suppose reminiscent of dinosaurs in the past. And again you can experiment with these. We run through the centre. So once I've got it to this stage, I'm then going to go into these areas, start putting in the finer detail. Now if I was putting this onto a tattoo, after I've done this stage where I start putting all the detail in, then I'd probably take it to the light box, take off a nice clean lift from this picture, and then look to start inking those areas in. So in regards to the jaw, detailing from behind the jaw area, back down onto the chest, bring these down. so very lizard-like in that respect, but then obviously we then go quite dinosaur when we start going. There's a large spikes onto the back. Well, we can keep working at this and putting lots and lots more detail into that. What I'll do is I'll continue with this off camera. Putting the other details in. Obviously I need another wing into the back here and stuff, but drawing this, we want this lighter. Now, I said about perspective, we need that lower. Need to run down this line a little bit more. But what I'll do off the camera is put a lot more detail into this and show you where you can take the final picture. This will end up being quite a dark line because this is the one which is right in your face. These ones are behind the wing, so going further and further away, so these will be paler and hidden in, say, the shadow underneath the wing there. Well, I will continue to tweak this, but obviously when we run through the Oriental Dragon and put them side by side, you're going to see obviously the main differences between the two, and we get asked in the shop for these both kinds. Obviously with TV programs like Game of Thrones and stuff like that, which is obviously a lot of dragons in, the European type dragon has become very popular with our work, so we're doing a lot more of those tattoos. So as we're going into the stomach area, I keep running these down. These will run all the way down the inside of the tail. As we drop round, they end up being back underneath. You can get some real movement in that tail. Finally, kind of put a bit of the eye in, so we've got something to run to. But I think you can see there these examples, classic European dragons, and obviously by using that first line at the right at the very beginning, work your constructions off of that, using basic shapes, and then fleshing out those basic shapes to get your final dragon in this instance. Right, so that's it. Thank you very much. Feel free to share, feel free to comment, and really please hit the subscribe button on the page. It's very much appreciated, and a lot of people have been liking the page recently, so it's fantastic. Can't thank you enough. But I will keep putting the videos on, and if anybody's got any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. But thank you very much. Cheers, bye bye.